there. Hello, hello, hello. It's been just a hot minute with the holiday and some crazy weather here. So happy to see you guys on this Monday afternoon. So excited to talk to you about the keys to changing your reality from okay or even not okay to fabulous to extraordinary to everything that you want it to be. And it starts with the way we view things, it starts with how we think. And there are absolutely tools that we can use to help us. But the first step is recognizing when we're in a thinking pattern that because what happens is a lot of times we don't even know that so much of the reality that we are living, we're creating. Like we're creating it subconsciously, unconsciously, and we're just letting our brain do whatever our brain wants to do. If it goes off down this thought pathway, or we turn on the news and we see all this negative stuff and we start thinking those negative thoughts and we don't realize that that is actually affecting what our reality around us looks like, and that we can choose to recognize when our thought patterns um, are not beneficial to creating the reality that we really want to live, and learning how to start believing and creating from a place of believing that we have so much more control of our reality and of what is happening around us and the good things that are coming and the opportunities that show up by the thoughts that we are choosing to think every day, all the time. And it doesn't mean trying to control your thoughts. It's more about recognizing when your thoughts are in a pattern that isn't serving you. And so an example that I will give you is that um, after I stepped out of my business to help my brother, I had already been warned it was going to be tough financially to do that, by my banker and my parents. And when it was, I really struggled. Because I felt like I was absolutely supposed to step out and help him. And then when it got hard, I felt like a failure. And I struggled. I struggled mentally. And I worked hard and I went to work every day, but I wasn't in a good place. And for 3 years, I really struggled financially and really struggled mentally. And when I really made up my mind and changed my attitude and changed, really, really set about changing, my thought process and what I was thinking and how I was approaching things, then solutions started to show up. And literally, I went from 3 years of creating a reality that was full of lack, full of financial struggle and hard work and difficulties, to a reality where solutions were showing up and opportunities were showing up and creative ideas to get the business rolling and get things going the right way were showing up. And so in a year, I went from being hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt and almost bankrupt to being almost debt free. And within another 8 months, I had made a cash down payment on my house. And then I had the debt of the house, but I was, all the credit cards were paid off, all the bills were caught up, everything was in a fantastic place. And yet, if I would have done it the normal way, it would have taken me much longer. But by doing it normal, meaning followed all the rules and not just worked on my attitude and my thought process and realized the power of that. And so that's what I want to share with you guys is the power that comes with changing your thoughts and learning how to recognize when your thought patterns are creating a reality that you're not really enjoying, and how to change that. Recently, I had something happen to me, kind of a rejection, I guess you would say, but it was one where there was no feedback. And so I was really found myself thinking, well, was it this? Was it that? What could I have done differently? And then I realized that, if I'm not going to get the feedback, there's nothing I can do. And if I'm staying in that mindset of beating myself up and going off on all these tangents about when I don't even know what caused it, then I am actually setting myself up for more challenges, more rejection, more difficulties, because I'm staying in that mindset. And so I could choose to look for the good in it. And there is good in it, in the sense that it opened up some doors for other opportunities that I wouldn't have had without that. And so I can focus on the opportunities and know that for whatever reason, every day you're doing your best with the tools and the tools that you have at the time, where you are at the time. And if that my best that day just came across differently to someone, or they read it differently, or I can't change that. I can only get up every day and be the best that I can be, and then look for the opportunities that can come, because none of us is as was it I'm trying to think of the name of the artist. A song that says you no one's everyone's cup of tea. And so sometimes that happens. And you have to remember that when people reject you, sometimes they have other conceptions or misconceptions, like whether it's, I heard of someone saying, they were rejected. They have a fantastic podcast. But in the early days of the podcast, someone they had asked for an interview said, you don't get enough views for your podcast. Why would I take my time to do that? And they said that to this person's face. Well, all of us have to start somewhere, including the person who said that, right? And so now her podcast is super big, and she has thousands upon thousands of views every week. And guess what? Because of that, she will never invite that person who said that on her podcast. And so we just have to remember that we all have opportunities. I mean, she has gone on to have major big people on her podcast, right? That rejection didn't make her shut up shop or quit trying or stop feeling like her podcast was worth doing, which is fantastic, because now, thousands upon thousands, soon to be millions of people will get to see her fantastic broadcast, The Mindset Playground. And all because she didn't give up when someone rejected her and was very specific. And we all get to choose how we react to whatever, but also when we reject others, we have to remember, right, that everybody starts somewhere. And you could decide to go speak where there's going to be 5 people or 7 people, but one of those 7 people might be somebody that could open lots of doors for you. So that's the other thing. Keep an open mind whatever you're doing, and try to show up and be your best no matter what, because that will create a reality that's extraordinary, that's fabulous, that's fun, that's exciting. And so, no matter how small the audience or how big the audience, show up and do your best. And if you get rejected, remember that that person, the only being that knows you 100% is you and God, your source, your higher power. And that's enough. Everyone else has to filter how they see you through their own experiences, through their eyes. And so it's not the same. And so you just have to remember that people are doing the best they can with the tools that they have, which might see you in a negative light, and it doesn't mean you're negative, and it doesn't mean you're wrong, and it doesn't mean you're not good enough, because you are good enough. And when you participate in negative conversations, if you do that on a regular basis, it does start to affect what reality you're creating as well. It brings in more negativity. So you want to remember that, and choose to think as in the most positive ways. And when your life feels okay, look for all the beauty that you can see in it, and kind of try to soak up the appreciation for every little thing that's good, because anytime you can get yourself in a better feeling place, you're going to start to create a better reality for yourself, because your thoughts do matter. I didn't know that. My brain went all over the place, and I didn't even realize, I really thought I was a positive person. I had no idea how much negativity was running around in my brain all day, every day, until I started learning how to recognize thoughts and start when I really started to work on appreciation. And then as I started appreciating myself, I started to realize how many times I spent a lot of time criticizing myself. And it still happens. The beauty is catching it. The beauty is being able to catch it and then figure out how to change that thought process. What would work better? What do I want to envision? Because I don't want this to be my reality. I don't want, negativity and rejection and hard times to be my reality. So I don't want to focus there. I want to focus on the beautiful things and the people that have said kind things and the ways that I've been able to help people. And, how can I serve in a better capacity? If I didn't serve as well as I could have somewhere, and I don't have the opportunity to know what that was, then I still just have to keep up getting up every day and doing my best and looking for opportunities to see if I'm not serving at the highest capacity and how I can improve that, without being mean to myself, not beating myself up, because that's one thing that we do that really hinders us in creating the life we want, because I don't have the opportunity to learn from. When I beat myself up, I'm not in a solution space. I'm in a critical, and this is true when we criticize others too, by the way. And so if I'm just telling myself, well, that was really stupid and you shouldn't have done that and you should have known better, I honestly am setting myself up to do it again, because I'm not like figuring out, was I a little shorter that day because I didn't get enough sleep, or was I hangry, or what were the triggers that I can honestly figure out so that I can pay attention to those things and not let myself be in that space? Or was there a trigger in something somebody said that I didn't recognize? And you have to do it not from a judgment, but from a kind, caring, how can I do that better? What could I have done differently? Because in that space, I can learn from it. And in that space, I can choose to think differently. I can choose to take deep breaths and give myself some space. I can set things in place that help me do better. But from the place of judgment, I can't do that, because I walk away, I'm so mad at myself and I'm so frustrated, and I didn't give myself a solution to have in mind the next time I start feeling that way, or if I recognize that maybe I'm feeling a little stressed, so meaning my tone of voice might not be as good. So what can I do to relieve that stress so I make sure that I have a good tone of voice when I'm talking to a client or a coworker or an associate? And so, those are magical ways that we can change our life that we don't always recognize as possible. So, I hope you guys are having a fantastic Monday. I hope some of you get to come back and watch this and and I'd love to have some feedback on what you think, on ways that you could create a different reality, or if you recognize that there's certain things, certain activities that don't feel good when you're doing them, or that you don't feel good when a conversation is happening or a certain thing at work, and you're kind of stuck. How can I make this better? Reach out, put some questions in there. Would love to participate in answering some of those different things, or giving some ideas, because it's so fun when we do it that way. And I always feel like I get to learn new ideas in the process too. And that's what we're all about, is like growing and learning and living an extraordinary life. So I wish you guys a magical, magical rest of your Monday. And I can't wait to see you again next week. And I will talk to you soon. Have a great day. Thank you.